Hey everybody, welcome back to the Freelancer Talk. My name is Wouter and I hope you guys are good. Before I'm going to be introducing today's topic and today's guest, I would like to point out that at the end of every month I am releasing a newsletter. So the first one already rolled out, and if you guys have missed it, make sure you check it out on www.thefreelancertalk.com. And if you haven't signed up yet, then you can sign up on that post. But without further ado, today's topic is going to be, let's say, the role of video marketing and the role of video in our daily lives. And to discuss this topic, I have Iris Boogaard here on the podcast. Hi, Iris.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
So Iris is a video editor and video maker, and I really love what she does. And she's also a freelancer herself. So she knows what she can talk about exactly 100%. I think this is a podcast for you guys to really, really listen to. Today's podcast is, let's say, a three parts kind of podcast. We've divided, let's say, the podcast in three different parts and three different subtopics of our main video marketing topic, let's say. The first one is that we basically just explain what video marketing is and what the role of video is in our daily lives and for small businesses and whatever and whatsoever, let's say. And then after we're going into the second part, which is storytelling. So we are really just diving into how you can do that and how you can put that into your videos and why storytelling is such a great marketing tool. And then after we are going to share with you how you guys can do this yourself, we're going to discuss the different platforms of video, different apps. Um, and just how you can make it very easy and accessible for yourself to just implement using video marketing in your daily life, because it really doesn't need to be a lot. You don't have to do a lot for it, let's say. But yeah, like we're gonna start off explaining a little bit like what video marketing is, and Iris does that the best. I mean, she will. So Iris, what is like your first thought about like video in your daily life? Like, what is the role of video in your daily life personally?
I would say that video is my one of my biggest passions. It first started out as a hobby, and when I was very young, I remember going on holidays. My parents were always taking pictures, and I was like, I want to do something else. So I started making movies with my friends when I was younger, and at some point, I realized that the video marketing world is actually a job that you can pursue. So in my education, my bachelor's, I started to focus more on video and how you can actually create a company around video. And now I'm luckily enough to to be a freelancer, to be an editor for other companies, and to create videos for companies and to make videos myself and make a living out of that. So yeah, video is a really big passion of mine.
Yeah, that's nice. I personally, I also love video. I love just editing. I've been vlogging for such a long time, and I always just like it. For me personally, as a kind of like a like a diary, like a video diary, let's say. But on
Exactly.
the other side, I've also really come to understand that you can really create your personal brand like through your videos. Like you really just direct yourself and just make just it's very clear, like, okay, this is this person, that's him, so very often you can connect your brand to your personality immediately, let's say, in a way.
Mhm.
um so what can you tell a little bit more about like what you do for these companies? These you work for small businesses and for other types of companies, and you create videos for them, and you use video as a marketing tool. So how do you start with what does it actually mean using video as a marketing tool?
Well, first, the first question I always ask my clients is, why do you want to use video? Because video is a means to you to reach a target. So I always ask, what do you want to um, do with these videos? Do you want to create more engagement? Do you want to have more brand awareness? Do you want to increase sales? So the first question is always, why do you want to use video, and how are we going to use video to promote or market your product or your services?
Yeah. And then after, like, how do you determine like what types of video they should be using? Because I guess you can use so many different types of videos
Exactly.
to use as a marketing tool to create more reach and to create more engagement or more sales or whatever. But how exactly do you determine that with them?
Well, traditionally speaking, most companies would have one video and they would use it for television, but we're way past that. And then there was a time when people would just create one great company video and they put it on YouTube, and then they would just let it rest. But nowadays, I would say that video marketing is using all types of video at the same time. Um, so you want to use video to show your expertise in your job. For example, you can use how-to videos and you can explain how your service works. But it's also smart to just create one video to actually introduce yourself or your team. So depending on what a company needs at the time, I would advise certain videos, but I also always advise to experiment with that. So don't just go for one type of video, but
Yeah.
perhaps people want to see how the company does behind the scenes. So perhaps you can start blogging, because it's a very personal way to connect with your audience. But maybe they just want to see what other work you have done in the past, or they want to know from your other clients to get a bit more proof of your expertise. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I would always advise to use multiple types of videos, because when you just go for one type, of course you can do one type and then another and another, but I would always compare what is the response of your audience, what does your audience want to see, because you're making it for them, not just because you like creating videos. I mean, maybe for you and me it's because we like creating videos,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I would never advise a company to make videos because they have to. You have to
Yeah.
make videos because you want to help your audience with a certain problem, and um, that's then video is a great tool for that.
Yeah, and I think you touch really on that topic of like experiment with that, and I think that's so. I think that's in general, like when you talk about marketing, marketing is always experiment with new things, like because everything constantly changes. And also in the land of video marketing and what you can now do with video, like all of a sudden you have TikTok coming up, and then there is competitor reels on Instagram. And now I read that YouTube is also releasing their own short video feature within their platform, which is called YouTube Shorts. And it just constantly changes. So it's so good to if you like run your small business or your own company and or brand, and you want to use video, like just try things out. Most of these platforms, if you use, for example, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube as a business, they have great analytics, they have great insights, and you can really just track which types of videos are doing best for you, which lengths, which topics, which kind of genre, let's say. Um, so I guess really just like I always tell people, like, analytics are your best friends because they are. If you look into like from a marketing point of view and you just want to see like what is effective and what is not. So let's say why like why do you think people need to use video? Like, why do you think video marketing is such a strong tool?
The first, yeah, first off, I would always say because of the emotional side of video, it's a way to get to know a company, it's a way to build trust. And once you've built that trust, people are more likely to actually choose you. So it's especially for freelancers, I would say the way to connect with your audience. Before you've even met someone, they already know your vibe, your energy, because they've seen your videos, so they know what to expect. And I think probably what people like most in the world is knowing what to expect from someone when they're working with the person. Secondly, I would say that video is great for creating a message that is actually remembered by the people that are watching the video. Because let's face it, we have a lesser and lesser uh, greater attention span.
Yeah.
When we read text, we think it's too long. When we see website text, we want to scroll to the headers and see what are the most important parts. And when we watch video, we are 80% more likely to actually recall what the message of this video was. Thirdly, I would say it's very accessible to use video. We all have our smartphones. We all have social media platforms, and those are the places that people spend a lot of their time daily. So that's the place where you want to be when you want to promote yourself, your message, your services, your products. From a sales perspective, it's a big tool to increase your conversion. People are more likely to buy a product when they see a video about it. They are more likely to contact you when they see an explanation of your service. Yeah, there are so many reasons to start with video.
Yeah.
I would say the most important one is for freelancers is a way to connect with your audience. And there are probably so many. For me, there are so many editors alone in my hometown. So why do they want to choose me? Perhaps because they've already seen my video and they know what I do, how I work, and that's just making the choice for them easier to choose me instead of someone who has just had a single piece of text on their website, for example.
I feel like it's also because, like they actually get to know you, exactly what you said. They actually get to know you before they actually get to know you. So they already are like, okay, I have an idea of this girl and what she does and how she speaks and her personality. And with that, you immediately just market your own brand and your own business by actually not even, doing so much. You just show people in advance who you are. I feel like also, yeah, I mean, exactly. It's that whole thing of get yourself out there a little bit and just get people familiar with you, and it makes your brand more personal. And the more personal your brand as a freelancer, very often people are more attracted to the more, like humane or more personal kind of brand or business or person, let's say. I think that's in general nowadays. Everybody tries to be all kinds of different things, but I always really feel like, you can try to be all kinds of different things, but then when you then go and meet these people and then you're somebody completely different, like then you did like a crappy job at marketing yourself because you're not that person. Just
Yep.
be who you are, especially through video, because and I think it's very hard on video to be completely somebody else unless you're like a great actor or have like a great like second split personality or something. But I mean, I find it really hard. I always kind of, I'm not an English speaker, so I make mistakes sometimes. I like to make some quick jokes, and by putting in before, for example, when I started doing vlogs, I would always cut out these things. And then I was like, this is kind of really boring because this is not really who I am. So then I started putting all these mistakes and highlighting my own mistakes, and then videos became way more like me and just like, okay, that's who he is. And then people actually liked it more, even
Mhm.
because I was just really being me. But I think in general with your company, make things personable, sorry. And yeah, I think that is just a great way to use video. And it's all what Iris just said, 100%. I will just give some extra statistics on that, because apparently videos on social media are 1200% more shared than pictures or texts. So immediately videos, they just get more shares, they get more engagement. You basically get a bigger reach. Therefore, you lift up your brand awareness. People just know you much more. On Instagram, even videos are being shared twice as much as any other social media platform. So it's just like you gotta use video, like it says it right there. Use video because you will just be more successful. So yeah, I guess that was my say. That was my thing. Do you have anything else to say regarding video marketing, or personal experiences, or do's and don'ts, like what like things that you think don't work or things that you think do work?
Well, I think the point that you touched on being yourself in a video, as a freelancer, that's so important because, especially when you're creating vlogs, you don't want to see you want to see a person, you want to connect to that person, and you don't want to see something that you cannot relate to. So when you see that someone is making a mistake, or just doing what they love most, then you feel that that person is more truthful and you're more likely to trust them. And trust is the first step in wanting to work with someone. So that's something I would, yeah, totally recommend, being yourself on video. And of course, when you have a company and you need to be a little bit more professional, then yeah, be professional. Create maybe a little bit more professional working setup in your background when you start to create these videos. But when you're vlogging, show what's really going on behind the scenes, and you don't need to brush up on all the, like, the little small mistakes, unless you really really want to, of course. But yeah, I think that the most important part is just to be yourself, and because that's the person that they're going to meet when they're actually going to meet you in person, like you said.
Yeah, it's I think all of this is going to bring us into part number two, which is storytelling. Because a little bit more later on that, but I mean, we're going into this new part, but I want to, hook on you what you said about the being personable, and what I also just said is, like, if okay, as a freelancer, but if you, for example, also sell products and you want to make a very professional looking video, what do you do? Like, what touches the audience, and it's actually making, even selling that product personable. So instead of just selling your product, you maybe just sell, like, this is why you should be using it, because it's going to make your life better, or it's going to enrich your life. So you make it, they sell in a personable way, like you all of a sudden feel like, oh my god, I really need this because of that ad that you just saw. And I think that is part of the whole storytelling, is that, you know, one of these marketing quotes is like, don't sell products, but sell stories. And stories are personable, guys. So that is one of the things. So, what can you tell a little bit about storytelling? Like, how is storytelling done correctly in a video for a marketing point of view, let's say?
Well, first of all, I would say storytelling is all about having a beginning, a middle part, and an end part. That's what people recognize in stories. Our
Yeah.
brains are
Yeah.
wired to recognize stories. We love them in general. We know when we recognize a story, we're like, oh, I understand this. And people don't like to be confused. So storytelling is a great tool to, yeah, to help people understanding what you're trying to say. And I would say just marketing 101 is figuring out, what do people want? What are their problems? How can you help them with that? What can you then, step two, promise them? How do you promise to help them? And I would say third step is always, how do you, can you show proof of how you're going to help them? So for video, I would always yeah, advice to have a video with a beginning, middle, end. And then when you're actually selling something, think about, what do they want, what can you promise them, and how can you prove that you are the right person to help them with that need, that want that they have.
Yeah. I was just thinking about one of the latest Nike commercials, which showed a lot of diversity, and actually they took quite a political stand as well. And by that, like, okay, Nike sells shoes and sports clothes, but they went way beyond with their message, and they went way beyond with their story in this video. Like, it was about diversity, it was about everybody, it was about taking a stand for political reasons. And then all of a sudden people just get, emotionally attached to an ad for a shoe. Like,
Exactly.
but that is the power of storytelling. All of a sudden it becomes something completely else, and you're like, Nike, you are, like, you have this thing of in marketing that you have like a lot of different, for example, when you have a problem and you want to find a solution, first there are a lot of different brands who are going to give you this solution, but you're going to be not looking at all these different brands, because you're going to immediately recognize a few brands because they created a great brand awareness with you, and you're just immediately gonna pick out like these specific brands, and they're gonna go immediately into like your choice set, which means like the brands that you're gonna make your decision of, let's say, like that will be your decision to choose, let's say. Sorry, I kind of said that wrong. They all go in the succession set, which means that these are the brands that you recognize, and then you're gonna make a choice out of these brands. So that's the choice set. But if Nike, for example, is out there with this great ad, and you're like, oh my god, I'm emotionally attached, like when you want to find a shoe, you're immediately going to think of Nike, because you just love their ad and their video, and it's such a great message, and the story was very appealing to you. So, all of a sudden Nike is immediately your choice, your go-to for buying sports shoes. And I think that is really like the power of storytelling done right. Because, if you take a political stance, it can also be like, no, I'm not going to deal with that anymore, Happens also like that. Do you have any like examples that you can just think of, like, oh, that was a great, like, recently, like, oh, that was a great ad that really just got me, or that really just made me buy something?
Mm, let's say. Let me think about that.
I feel like also nowadays, like on Instagram, because now you can also shop on Instagram. All these makeup brands are just like working, a makeup brand working with an influencer, and just like having like nice makeup and be like, wow, this is really great for the skin and blah 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 blah, and I have no acne or anything like that. And immediately people are like, oh, I also want that. I don't want any acne from my makeup. So then immediately people are like more likely to buy that product all of a sudden. So yeah, I think it's very around us a lot, I
Mhm.
guess.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I was this week. I wanted to buy a new tripod for my video, and I just started browsing. And for me, that's always step number one is Google, and then step number two is search the name of the tripod into YouTube. And I was watching all these product reviews, and one where there was a woman who was having the product. It wasn't even branded content, I think. I mean, she didn't say that it was a commercial, but she showed the tripod. She did some unboxing. She showed how it worked, how fast you can set it up, and that there was a back. And it was like, oh, okay, check, check, check. All my problems that I have right now with my current tripod,
Yeah.
she all solved them with her video. I'm sold. I'm going to buy that product. And then I waited a little bit because it was already late. But the next day I woke up and I saw on Instagram ads for the tripod. I went on Facebook, I saw ads, and
It's everywhere immediately.
I didn't mind because I really wanted to buy the thing, and the next day I bought it. But yeah, it was just that one video of her showing how the product worked, and it wasn't even content created by the company that makes
Yeah.
the tripod. It was someone else who had her. channel where she did reviews of all camera tech. And in her comments, she had a little affiliate link, um, which it sent me to Amazon, and I didn't want to buy the product of Amazon. But if it was perhaps a link to Coolblue or Bol.
Yeah,
Another
yeah.
Dutch brand, I would have totally used that because she convinced me that it was the right product. So I would say that for me is the most recent example of how video marketing just sold me a product straight away.
Yeah, straight away by just one woman, kind of like independence, just recognizing it
Yeah.
basically.
And I
Yeah,
think maybe because she was also a young woman who said that her job was editing videos and creating videos for other companies. I was like, oh, I'm doing the same. I'm like you. So I
yeah,
connected with her. And because of that connection, I was like, well, when you clearly trust this product, and I think I can trust you because you're like me, so I'm going to buy the product.
yeah.
That's basically the thought process that went on.
I think like that is something very essential if you have a brand that sells products, is that, with there is even marketing done through your customers unconsciously that you don't know of. So I think if you have a brand that sells product, it's very important to kind of like keep a track of what people are saying about your brand, because customers can become, customers who have positive reviews and are like, oh, this is great, they kind of become brand ambassadors, like not what we think of now, like paid brand ambassador, like influencer style, but actually when you have a product, like actually I just bought this microphone and before this conversation I said to you like, oh, so I have this one, it's great, blah blah blah. So I actually become a ambassador for this product because I'm recognizing, I'm proposing it to people, let's say. So yeah, and I think, the more personable you sell your products, and the more people who can actually relate to that, the more people are going to have positive experiences, because I mean your product has to deliver, obviously. um but I guess in a way, this also works for your services. As a freelancer, we mostly offer services, let's say. And if you create create a let's say a video, and for example, if you're a coach, like if you are like an online coach and you want to help people, and you create a video about somebody who is in this corona crisis, working from home, who has no sense of time management, who is very like, oh my god. So if you create an ad for that kind of person, and then you come in and you're like, I can help you get your life back on track, I can help you. So like a whole story of like a very personable story for like, oh my god, I can recognize myself. Therefore this, you're gonna much more be likely like, oh, can I have your help, like can we have a session to talk about it? And
Mhm.
then if you deliver on that session, people are like, wow, this coach, she really helped me get through this whole hard time and get my beep in place, let's say. And they're gonna be like to other people who are struggling, yeah, you should get this coach, she's great.
Mhm.
They become an ambassador for your services, for
Yeah.
your thing as well. Yeah, I think coaches are very often also freelance, so that's why I just
Yeah.
the thing of coach. I mean, I guess it works for you if you deliver well on your edits. For me, if I deliver well on my dancing or teaching, people are like, wow, he's a great teacher, or wow, he's a great dancer, like you guys should hire him. And then it becomes like a whole networking thing, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think, do you have anything more regarding like storytelling that just pops in your mind? Like, oh, I mean, you said, just to round it up a little bit, like what you said is that stories should be, you need an intro, a mid part, and an ending. And
Mhm.
also, you should have a story that, doesn't just sell you something, but proves that it's going to make your life better. So why you should need this service or this product. And what I said is just make it personable, because then you just connect way faster to people. Have anything to add?
Um, well, when we talk about people who are your brand ambassador and they're actually your fan of your brand, then I would suggest when you get to know these people and you you have a good connection with them, ask them to create a testimonial video, to sit in front of the camera and ask them a couple of questions of why did you start working with Wouter, by how is he like, what does he do, how did he help you. And when people, for example, answer those questions, they provide that proof that other people want, because they're like, oh, that person trusted him, so then it's probably a good choice. And
Yeah,
when you
use
have those
that.
brand
Yeah.
ambassadors, embrace them and keep them and let them do the work for you. Of course, you can provide your help in exchange, and always be nice. No, don't just say help me, but
Yeah, but be kind, but especially what you said, connect with them and kind of like use them because they like you already.
Mhm.
So don't be afraid to use their positive reviews and their testimonial to spread in their own network. So therefore you just enter different types of
Yep.
networks, especially, and be kind, but people who are ambassadors of your brand, like who love your brands, they will have no problem in sharing, or what
Mhm.
you said about this tripod stand, to create a video just because they love it or
Yep.
something.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, 100% you're right with that. Because Iris and I had a lot to say about video marketing and storytelling, we decided to split the podcast in two and continue next week with the episode where we will give you where we will give you the entire rundown of where you can use video marketing yourself and how you can do it for yourself, which social media platforms. We are literally going to discuss every social media platform out there and how you should be using video, and how you can target your audience and all that kind of stuff. So guys, make sure you also tune in next week for actually the third part of this podcast, but it's just split in two, let's say. So make sure you check back. I'm recording this now post production, so Iris already is out of the picture right now. So thank you very much, Iris. You will find her links, her Instagram and her website down below. Make sure you follow her. She's very talented. I really enjoyed recording this podcast with her together. And of course, next week she's going to be back on it. Make sure you are also signed up for the newsletter, because every month I drop one newsletter, only one. So it's not going to be, I'm not gonna spam your inbox, guys. So don't worry too much. Make sure you also follow the Freelancer Talk on Instagram, Facebook, become part of the group. Check back on the freelancertalk.com every now and then for new articles and fun posts, blog posts, whatever, the whole shebang is on there. And I'll be back next week with Iris to talk a little bit more about video marketing. Have a great week, guys.